I remember the episode where he gets absolutely blind drunk, and then they connect the ship's controller up to the pool table, and he has to drive the ship around the suns and the galaxies with the pool cue. Welcome to GCP Bytes, episode number 24 for Friday, the 29th of August 2025. GCP Bytes is a podcast where we discuss Google Cloud and tech, and I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. On today's show, we're going back on-prem, so says Broadcom. How much power does all this AI stuff take? Breaches, and more breaches. Plus, is the AI trying to escape its captivity? Find out more in the AI Wars. But before we get to any of that, I'd like to introduce the co-hosts of the show, Dave Wall. How you going, Dave?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm keeping my eye out for any rogue escaped AIs up here.
Good idea. Good idea.
Okay right now.
Excellent. And our very own GDE, Ian Brown. How are you, Ian?
I'm good, Banky. How you doing?
Good. And you're back.
I am back, definitely.
Excellent. So with you being back, tell us about what your little frivolous frolic was.
Well, okay. So, first things first, I'm back from IO Connect China. So
yes,
Google
that's the first thing.
Was very gracious in inviting me over to Google IO Connect in China. It was in Shanghai. It was fantastic. Shanghai is such a beautiful city. The pollution there is next level. I came back with quite the chest infection, but the city itself is quite pretty. And the talks that were on and the people that you meet over there were absolutely fantastic. So thanks to the Google ANZ team for getting us over there. But yes, I had a frivolous frolic with Terraform's plugin framework.
This is your tech adventure now.
I suppose you could call it a tech adventure. So one of the things that the NSX Terraform plugin or Terraform provider doesn't do is the guest into VLAN routing stuff, right? So you can't create child and parent ports in NSX using their specific provider.
No, because isn't this basically a dirty hack to make this happen?
Well, it is a supported thing, right? It's supported. You just can't do it in the GUI, and you can't do it via Terraform. But you can do it via all the API calls.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if you've got a workload that needs access to say more than 8 different networks, right? Which you like, if you need less than 8, you could do that just by adding different VNICs to the VM, right? But if you need more, this is the only way to do it.
That's right, because it's all overlay, right?
Yeah. So what I thought was, okay, well, instead of running dodgy PowerShell scripts as local execs inside of Terraform, which is just a dirty way of doing things and not stored in state, so it runs every single time, which means that every single time you're trying to recreate that parent port, which means all the child ports get disconnected for a split second and reconnected again, assuming that it doesn't fail. I'm going to write a provider that does just this. It's all it does is inter VLAN routing.
Right. Why doesn't this exist already? That begs the question.
I think maybe VMware doesn't want you doing this in Terraform. I don't know. We'll soon find out. So I downloaded a copy of the VMware NSX repo for their provider and had a look at how they had it laid out. And just to preface this, the NSX API is massive because you've got both the manager and the policy APIs that are inside of it, and each one of those has got hundreds of different endpoints. It is truly massive. So wading through their repo to try and figure out how they use it took me a couple of days just to figure out how they were actually using it, and then add on top of that they wrote their repo using the old SDK v2, not the Terraform plugin framework. So the Terraform plugin framework is the new way of doing things. And so I had to then look at how they've done it and then rejig that so that it works with the plugin framework, and then try and actually make all that compile and test. So it was.
I would have vibe coded it.
Well, I did use AI for a little bit of it just to see what it came out with.
Yeah.
But the problem that we had was all the examples that are on the internet are all SDK v2. There's virtually nothing for the plugin framework. And the SDK v2 is a vastly lower level version.
Right.
So...
And it kept defaulting back to SDK v2 code.
Well, no, what it was doing was blending the two together. So you were getting bits of the plugin framework and bits of the SDK. And it's like, no, that's just not going to work.
Right.
So look, I built it. It's out there in the wild now. We're in the process of testing it to make sure it actually works because, we haven't quite done that yet. And I don't have a NSX API to test against locally. So we've got to test it on this project and see what happens. And if it fails, then I'll fix it. It's not that hard. There's only really 2 methods in the entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah, once you figure out how to do it, the method call will be pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, I think there's like 1,000 lines of code in the entire thing.
Yeah. And then there's quite a bit of work in getting the code as it stood into the Terraform registry, right? Like you had to work your way through all that piece. Now you've done that as well, Banky, yeah?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah. So so it uses Go Releaser to do the releases in the plugin framework. So it's got to pass a whole heap of tests and linting and all that sort of stuff before it even builds. And then once it's built, then it can get uploaded in. But yeah, there was a fair bit there with the linter there was a couple of checks on the linter, like a static check on the linter that failed. And it failed for some weird reason. And I just went, we'll just disable it and move on with life. As you do. Of course.
Looks good to me. Send it.
Works here. Works on my machine.
Well, okay. I look forward to seeing that in place because this is for the piece of work that you're on at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah. Nice bit of contribution there, Ian. We're going to have our names all over this code by the end of this. Yeah.
Banky and his logging project.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of things as well in there. But speaking of which, what's going on with dedicated interconnects?
Oh, look. So I've spent the last
We were talking about this the other day.
I've spent the last week building out dedicated interconnects, and the documentation is a bit lackluster.
Disjointed.
Disjointed is a good word. Incorrect in places. So one of the big issues that I had was the location attribute for a dedicated interconnect. The documentation is completely wrong. So in the documentation, it gives you a URL that you've got to put in there, but the URL example that they give you is completely incorrect. Right. And so you're like, in the Terraform docs, you're like, right, well, let's have a look at the API docs and see what the API docs say. And you have a look at the API doc. The API docs are also incorrect.
Yeah.
It's not until you go and look at getting an existing interconnect that you see the correct URL.
Right. you can put a submission in on each page, like a feedback on each page, and those pages are real time as well. It's got a little compile date on the bottom.
Yeah.
And I've had the situation. What was I doing? I was doing a VPN over interconnect. Yeah. And it was brand new. The documentation said one thing. I wasn't sure in a particular. There was questions I had around it, so I went off to try something, didn't work, came back to the documentation like maybe 2 days later, and it had changed, and the answer that I needed was on there. So it changed my solution. So you've got to be, keeping up with it all the time. And I found that problem that you were encountering with the MacSec.
Yeah.
Now, that you'd looked at it and couldn't find it earlier, and I found it straight away. That has probably been updated.
The thing. So there should when you look at the deploy dedicated interconnect, there's no mention in that that there's specific restrictions on 10 gig ports.
Mm-hmm.
About whether or not you want MaxSec enabled.
Yeah, when you do MaxSec. So it's like you look at how to deploy it and you go, yep, rightio, I can deploy that. I look at the Terraform, go, yep, I need to do a 10 gig MaxSec port. They're available in Melbourne. Let's crack on. And it's not until you actually read the MaxSec docs, which are 3/4 of the way down the menu on the left-hand side, that it says in there's a little tiny block that's not even highlighted that says, if you want a 10 gig MaxSec port, you need to talk to your account manager.
It's got to be allow listed. Yeah.
And it's like
100 gigs okay, but
surely that should be a big info box that says, hey, you can't do this natively. You need to talk here.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's crap. It's crap. And honestly, that's not the first time I've been burnt with something weird like that. When we had the single node GCVE clusters, it was not clear how to instantiate that using Terraform, and or just chuck a bizarre error. I can't remember the details now, but it took me nearly 2 weeks to get an answer back to say, what is this trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And you had to, not only did you have to set, one node, but there was an additional flag, an undocumented flag, where you had to say expiry equals true or something along those lines.
Yeah, right.
You had to set that along with it.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah, anyway, that's gone away now because we don't have the ephemeral single node clusters
we can
anymore.
have single nodes for permanent.
Yeah. Yeah, so look, there's lots to update on the dedicated interconnect docs. Google have taken it away. I raised it with them yesterday or the day before whenever we had our meeting with them. And they're taking it away and going to get it all updated.
Yeah, good. Fun and games. Well, last week...
What about you, mate? Yeah, where you been up to?
I was, in between episodes of the show, I thought I'd just quickly shoot over to Okinawa and spend a week there hanging out with my karate buddies. That was it was fantastic. It was. If you know Okinawa, it's I call it the Tasmania of Japan.
What, does it get left off maps? Or?
Well, it's a funny one. It is part of Japan. It's like south of Japan, and it's closer to Taiwan, off the coast of China. And it got hammered in World War II. It's got quite the World War II story. And the Okinawans, it's funny that it's like a Pacific island. Imagine a Pacific island, but it's quite big, and there's like a decent sized city. But it's all Japanese, right? So it's got this Pacific island vibe. It's like got the heat and the humidity and the beaches and everything. But the crazy Japanese sort of vibe, Japanese cars, all the rest of it. And in terms of the island, 50% of the island is usable land, and 10% of that usable land is occupied by the US military, and they've been there since World War II. And it is the biggest. It contains the biggest US air base outside of the US.
Wow.
And, of course, we ran around and took in all the World War II history and everything like that. But the main reason I was there was to do these martial arts seminars with the karate masters, like 8th, 9th, 10th Dan guys. And they've got lineage going all the way back to Miyagi and those guys that started this stuff back in the 1800s.
Wow.
We just did that. We did that all day Monday, Tuesday, had a day off on Wednesday sightseeing, all day Thursday, and then sightseeing on Friday and a party on Friday night. So, it was a great experience. Definitely, we're going to be doing it every 2 years. So we're going back again in 2 years. And I commented to one of the guys. I said, "Look, whoever decided to put the birthplace of karate at the same place that is one of the most hot and humid places on the planet really needs to rethink their choices around that."
It's Bikram karate.
I found that in Shanghai too. It was so hot and humid over there.
Yeah. It was hot and humid. Fortunately, the place where the seminar was this big hall on top of this hill, and like it was a beautiful building, and it was fully air conditioned. So we're inside in the air conditioning while we're doing our thing. But just coming outside to get an Uber or whatever. Oh boy, it was just scorching.
Yeah, I think when I was in Shanghai, it was 38 degrees and over 70% humidity for the entire time I was there.
Yeah,
it's brutal, especially when you're coming from a winter. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I rock up, I've got a jumper on and stuff, and I get out and go, hang on a minute. But it was good. I had a chance to, I think I told you guys, I've been dabbling with Japanese for like a few years, and I had a chance to give some of that a go, and kind of did all right with that.
Yeah, nice.
And I was able to get meals and stuff. So it was fun. Definitely.
How are you finding? Because I know you use that plugin in Chrome, so that you get more exposure to like Japanese characters and everything. So how did you find like reading over there?
Oh, well, I've turned that plug-in off. That's a lot.
Gemini for the win.
Well, it's a lot of effort. When you're trying to, if you're casually reading, it's fine. Now, what's that
right, but if you're professionally reading, it's...
it's difficult, right?
So you can't be reading the dedicated interconnect docs with random kanji.
Exactly. So that plugin's called Toucan. If you're interested in learning another language, it's called Toucan by Babel, and what it does, it randomly inserts the language you're trying to learn. It randomly inserts the foreign language in a web page that you're reading, and you can hover over it and it gives you the translation, and you can click the thing and it plays the sound. So some words I started to pick up, like I just can't even recall any right now, but when I'm reading it, I was like, that means system or engineer. Some of the katakana words I could pick up. Exactly. When you're trying to understand a technical document, which 99% of what I'm reading is, it's just too much to like then try and translate another language at the same time. So I've ended up turning it off.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what was really good, Google Translate. So the new Pixel 9, I got a Pixel 8, and you can use Google Translate
Lens and just put it on translate mode.
It will listen to the conversation and give you both sides of the conversation. It'll show you what you say in Japanese, so you can hold it up to them, and then when they speak back, it switches it back to English as well, and does it on the fly. And I had a Saily SIM, so I wasn't too worried about the data usage, and bang, 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 that was really handy as well. I use Google Lens. Even though I've been studying Japanese, I mean, I only know very, very, very little. So Google Lens was handy as well. You could hold that over menus and it would just translate it on the fly. All of that worked really well.
I found that really helpful in China. Lots of the cab drivers over there that don't speak English at all. So being able to say what you wanted and then have it translate and show them, and then they can talk and it'll translate back to English for me.
Yep.
That was an absolute godsend. And same with it for menus. Like you walk into a shop and get some food, and you just hold the phone up, use Google Lens to look at the menu, and it'll translate it into English. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, while you were in China, mate, did you have any dramas like you tried to use Google Maps and realized that it was completely off base?
I used Google Maps the entire time I was there, and because I was using Telstra roaming, it was fine.
Right. You didn't find that your GPS was off?
No.
Okay, that's interesting, because last time I was there, Google wasn't allowed to show accurate GPS within something like 500 meters.
No.
You had to use like the native Chinese GPS maps.
No, that my Google Maps was bang on. I mean, we didn't really go to many places over there. We were in the convention center for the week. We went to the Bund and had a look around the old finance district and that, and then to the hotel and a few shops and all that sort of stuff. But realistically, I was using Google Maps the entire time I was there, and it was fine. But the issue that a lot of people have is if you're using a China mobile SIM or something like that, that's where you start running into issues. You start running into like the Great Firewall of China. Will stop you from getting to a lot of stuff. I had none of that issue because I was on a Telstra SIM and I'm using roaming, and I VPN back to my house.
Yeah, nice.
Nice, very good.
Meanwhile, tariffs.
Oh my God.
Talk to us, Dave. What's going on?
So I wake up Tuesday morning Right. And there's a nice email from all of my postal carriers saying, oh, just so you know, as of today, so as of Tuesday, the morning I was reading it, you can't ship to America anymore.
Wow.
So this is like 25 countries basically on Tuesday have shut shipping to the US because of the de minimis threshold removal. So this is like the tariffs have been in place for a while, never mind the fact that we have a free trade agreement and they're in breach of it, but, we'll put that aside. But yeah, any orders, any parcels that were worth less than $800 were exempt from tariffs. Right, they weren't having to go through. So now, as of I think it's tomorrow. Actually, I think it's the 29th of August. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol will now be requiring everything that hits the US. Doesn't matter if your parcel's like $1. If it's going in, they have to have the tariffs applied, and if they're not like the value's not specified, it's a minimum of $80. So if you buy like a $10 item and it should have like $1 worth of tariff on it, it's now a $90 item. Now the US receives about 4 million parcels a day that would fall into this bucket. So there is no way for any of their logistics to be able to handle it.
No.
Right? No. So all of the international carriers are all trying to frantically work out how to do delivered duty paid systems. So for tariffs to be paid upfront, so
before
the parcel
it leaves.
so the parcel can go through. But even once once they have those systems in place and once it works, the backlog is going to be enormous. Like I saw just how bad it was for Canada. They had the Canada Post strikes just before Christmas last year. So the strike took 2 weeks, and it took about 6 weeks before you could accept parcels again to go to Canada, right? So you think of all the backlog of everything that was sort of sitting, everything that was on a plane when the strikes came in and they stopped taking new parcels, and then the backlog of everything to go through. Right. So if you think about now, 4 million a day.
This is to preempt that, right? They just said no more. We don't want to end up in that backlog situation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because then they've got a plane sitting at the airport full of stuff that they can't unload.
Yeah. Or that'll immediately be sent back. And usually depends on the carrier, but like Ozpost, for example, doesn't charge you. Like if a parcel is returned, it just comes back. So, but obviously someone's paying for it.
Someone's got to pay, yeah.
So that's fun. That's a whole thing.
I don't mind the fact that it fun.
Yeah,
it's an experience that you'll never forget.
So, I feel like we're fine. We got plenty of scale. We got plenty of other things going on, but it is still it's a huge amount of our volume that would normally go to the US that we're now having to every US sale that comes through to us, we have to go back to be like, okay, we've got it. You're in the queue. But as of right now, I don't have a date until I can ship this to you. So just be aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like if you want your money back, that's not a problem. Yeah. But
this is what Trump wanted, right? He didn't want stuff coming to the US. We're not going to get political, but
yeah.
This is not. I'm not.
No, don't.
Just leave it alone.
All right. Well, let's just pivot on that, right? And let's get on with the community news. All right, Ian. What do we got here?
All right, so I've only included this one this week. Look, there are lots of regional GDG events going on, but the main one and the really big one that I wanted to call out was the Australia-New Zealand Gen AI Academy. So this starts on September 4, so it's less than a week away. And this is Google's Academy initiative to get people more into AI. So it caters everything from I've never touched AI before to I'm an absolute guru. It's all skills boost based, and there's a whole heap of swag that you can unlock. So You hit milestones where you get certain number of badges, and then you can get like keychains or pins or stickers or a bucket hat or a beach towel or sunglasses or a bag or, the main prizes are the first place gets a set of Pixel Bud Pros in porcelain. Second place will get a Google Barrel bag, and third place gets an accessory case. And that's overall. But the topics, there's an intro to Gen AI, all the way up to an advanced learning path for Gen AI developers. You can learn how to deploy and manage. You can generate smarter Gen AI outputs. You can learn how to use Gemini with Workspace, which I'm actually doing at the moment because I've got Google Workspace now and I think it is fantastic. You can use Google, if there's an intro or an intermediate course on Gemini for Google Cloud. So learning how to deploy resources with Gemini in Google Cloud.
But not dedicated interconnects.
Not dedicated interconnects. And don't ask it about how to use a Terraform plugin framework. But look, this is a fantastic initiative. Jump on board. There's a whole page dedicated to it on the RSVP with Google site. We'll put a link in the show notes. Register for it and get on board and do some free learning on Google's coin.
Just registered.
Yep, nice.
I'm going through a bunch of AI learning paths at the moment. I think I mentioned last week I'm sort of dabbling with the idea of getting into ML Ops.
Nice.
I'm doing some stuff with Vertex AI yesterday, and just setting up some functions in there. It's pretty cool how you can do that. This is right up my alley at the moment. It's great.
Yeah. And look, when I was in China at IA Connect, a lot of the Google announcements were all AI focused. Everything is about AI. They want everybody in AI so deeply.
Yep.
You can learn how to use all sorts of stuff like the conversational agents, and which we'll talk about conversational agents a little bit later on.
And I think I've done some of these learning paths already.
Oh, you may well have, mate.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the idea? You finish all these learning paths, or like it's a competition to see how many finish, or you earn points or something?
It's not really yes, okay, it's probably a little bit of a competition in that there's prizes on offer, but realistically, it's more of you're doing this to better yourself and learn stuff. And you're learning stuff on Google Cloud Skills Boost for free, which is not normally the case. Normally, you've got to pay for Skills Boost, but Google's giving this away for nothing. So take advantage of it while you can, because it's not a cheap platform to use, and you'll learn something and make yourself better.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just looking now. The first two in that list I've done already.
Yep.
So I'm part of the way there.
Yeah, there's
Excellent.
one specifically for startup too. So Startup Innovators Learning Path. That one's a really cool one. Learning how to use Gen AI and Gemini in startup projects.
All right, so go and check that out. I'll put a link in the show notes. You got to sign up to that, and that runs from the 4th of September. Was it 4th September to 4th?
It's 90 days.
Yeah, 4th September to 4th of December. Yeah.
Yep.
So you got plenty of time to get through all of those. Fantastic. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on with the news items. First news item this week. That's it. We're going back on-prem. That just solves everything, right?
It does.
Just
100%.
That's it. Yeah, we're done. VMware, of course, Broadcom have called it. They're saying defiant Broadcom calls for tech to go back where it belongs, on premises.
We're going back, baby.
Look, we were searching for a VMware story, and then this one's come out of the woodwork. We're going back.
Well, so VMware's got their big VMware Explore conference going on in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah,
so this is part of the keynotes, and Hock Tan is he's sure, mate. It's just we were using it wrong. We just weren't using it correctly, but now Let's bring it back, mate. Let's
and you need to use all of it at the same time.
use all of it. And you'll be back in there, and you don't have to deal with uncertain, cloud spiky pricing. Don't have to worry about any of that. You just have to deal with Broadcom's pricing.
And this is the thing that gets me on this one is he's asserted that VMware Cloud Foundation's private cloud suite offers better security and cost management than hyperscale clouds, and I would debate that.
If you're doing cloud right, it shouldn't.
Yeah. If you're doing even if you're doing cloud wrong, a misconfigured VMware estate on-prem is more insecure than one that's been provisioned by Google. Yeah,
let's say if we put the security piece aside, because there's plenty of ways to cut that, right? I mean, I get it I get the costs thing, because it is very easy to do something stupid and blow out your cloud spend.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
I think last time, we talked about like BigQuery, like a bad BigQuery kicking off and just crippling you, right? And I know, Ian, you've had plenty of experiences with people being like, hey, we need some more hyperdisks. And then all of a sudden, you're paying an astonishing amount of money for the storage.
Not even hyperdisk. There's another one. There's another really high-performant block storage in Google. I can't remember the name of it now, but it costs an astronomical amount of money. It's like $50,000 a month for a couple of terabytes of this disk.
Yeah. So, I do get that. It's like if you don't have access to some of these tools that maybe you don't actually need, right? Then yes, you can avoid that.
Because I look at GCVE and say that the cost model on GCVE is actually pretty predictable, because the VMs that you're going to run in your estate. So you can say that that's going to require this many nodes, and therefore our cost is going to be X $1,000 a month. Whereas, and to couple that with the ability to go, hey, we need to scale up our environment and we're going to need more nodes. And instead of having to go out and CapEx another $75,000 node, we just purchase another one monthly off Google. And then it's their problem to deal with the updates of the patching of those nodes and the maintenance of that hardware and all that sort of stuff. That I don't think that VMware is taking into account the actual cost involved in putting a bit of tin in a rack in a data center, supplying internet to it, supplying connectivity to it, as in
physical
network connectivity to it, storage, the dudes that actually have to go
manpower,
in there and put the tin in place and cable it up and all that, the maintenance of that tin, what happens when the tin fails.
Yep. And the effort for life cycle.
Yeah, and what happens in 3 years' time when you need to throw that tin out and put a new bit of tin in?
Yep.
There's the amount of money that involves, I think, when I worked it out, this was probably 10 years ago, I worked out that it costs about $1 million to build a rack out. Just in tin and licensing and that sort of stuff, it's about $1 million.
Yep.
And then every 3 years, you're going to throw away another $1 million.
Yep.
Because you're going to have to upgrade your switches, you're going to have to upgrade your tin, you're going to have to upgrade your storage. Like it's a lot of money.
Yep.
So I don't think he's taking that into account. And the other thing that he said in here was that that they're bundling this private AI service at no extra cost into VCF. I'm sorry, but when you're going to compare that sort of thing to something like a Gemini, you're already starting at Apple's level of AI.
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese. That's right. The complete opposites. Yeah,
you're starting where Meta did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
it's a quote here from him. I can imagine him standing on the stage waving his finger saying this. Most of you continue to be weighed down by legacy infrastructure and you are afraid to move forward. The answer is not to run straight to public cloud like you did 10 to 15 years ago. He instead wants buyers to embrace Cloud Foundation and stay on-prem. Of course he does.
Of course he does, because it makes them a stupid amount of money because they put the price up 500%.
Where I think it is, is interesting is that you can squeeze a lot out of VCF. Like if you have the full bundle, and if you were, say, a greenfield environment and you were like, okay, I've got, I can go like AWS and use AWS services. I can go Google. I can use Google services, or I can have my private VCF cloud, and I can use all of the inbuilt features that are in there, right? And I'm going to do the whole thing with a proper DevOps team, and we're going to do things as code. Great. I think you can really build a lot in there. You can do it properly. You can run your VMware environment like you would, like you can consume services like you would in the cloud. But most enterprises don't do that. They're going to pay for VCF, and they're going to spin up, vSphere, and they're going to log in and provision VMs.
Yep.
And
they're going to click ops everything, and there's going to be waste, and there's just going to be hangover stuff. Yeah, it's never like that.
And they find, NSX is too hard, so we're just going to use standard VLANs or distributed vSwitches. Like, meanwhile, like you could do like separate projects. You can build VPCs and everything in NSX. Like you can do it, and it's really cool. And a lot of people will not use it.
Yeah. They've even got the database. We covered it. What they call that feature? We could spin up a native database in VMware.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but we covered it a couple of months back.
Covered it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's got all these cloudy-like features in there, but you're right. We've never seen it implemented like that. I don't know anyone that implements it like that, right? You just stand it up, you start click-opsing things, you build it out, and along with that comes your bulk, comes your waste, right? A lot of overhead in there, and I bet you that's not included in the calculation either, right?
No.
The one that really, I think a lot of people don't really understand is that a network switch capable of delivering the amount of performance that you're getting out of Google Cloud's VMware engine is going to cost you $20,000 to $40,000.
Yep.
Per switch.
Yep.
And you're going to need at least two of them.
That's just the networking side of things.
Just the backbone networking. That's not even the top of rack switching to get you out onto the internet. So that it really is an astronomical amount of money.
To achieve that level.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. It's like, well, we can do it better than Google. You know, you can hear management saying, well, we can do it better than Google. And you draw up your design. You say we want the 100 gig switch. We want the yada yada yada. And no, we don't have the budget for that.
Yep.
So you get the cheaper switch. So you get the slower drives, so you get less memory, and eventually you're nowhere near what's is being provided by a hyperscaler.
Or you end up instead of putting like 50 terabytes of flash into the server, you go, we're instead of doing that, we're going to get a Dell PowerVault, and we'll use a traditional SAN instead of using vSAN. We'll use a traditional SAN, and we'll allocate LUNs. Yeah, it's not. Honestly, for me, if I was to build out, like have the choice of building out a data center versus using VMware Engine in any of the clouds, I would choose VMware Engine over building out a data center. Just purely based on the amount of time I would have to be in a data center patching kit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I've done that for far too long.
With 20 lines of Terraform, you can spin up your estate.
Yep.
It's done.
Yeah. And then once a month when the patch day comes around, Google automatically puts a new node in, moves all your VMs onto that node, patches out your nodes and just keeps cycling them through until they're all patched out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is there. We've seen it. We had a customer where a DIM failed on a host.
Yeah.
Right. While we were building it, we hadn't even started the migration. It's like, oh, hey, one of the hosts has got a failed memory module. I never saw that host ever again.
Nope.
They gave us a new host. They took that one out of service. They repaired the DIM. And then,
someone else is using that box now.
Someone else is using it. Yeah, exactly.
I don't need to care about it.
Yep. No. Whereas, so, and I've had these sort of issues before. We all have, where you've got a bit of Dell kit that's in, and I'm picking on Dell because I've used that the latest, and it might be the next day before you get a DIM, assuming you've got next day service. And then you've got to get to the data center and you've got to shut down that host and move all the VMs off it and then find the DIM that's failed and no. Too much work.
Not anymore.
No, I'll pass.
All right, well, let's end that rant.
Slash rant.
It's a bit of fun. It's fine.
I think everyone knows our feels on the way that work, what that's all about. But, look, Broadcom, pushing it uphill. Really, really, really trying to push it uphill.
Oh, they are.
Meanwhile, Google faces $55 million fine over Telstra Optus search deals. Now, look, my opinion on this is, set your search preferences. That's fine. But, let the users change it if they want to.
Yeah,
but
100%.
they didn't in this.
There's nothing in Android that's stopping you from changing it to Bing if you wanted legacy search results.
But they didn't in this case. That's the problem, right?
Oh, didn't they? It's
the only thing that they did was they stopped Telstra and Optus from putting another search engine on there. It was like a deal, like put ours on there, don't put anyone else's on there. That's the deal. And Telstra and Optus got, for doing that, they got a cut of any Google search revenue coming from those devices. That was the scheme.
Yeah,
right.
Google has admitted this conduct was likely to have the effect of substantially lessening competition. So they've owned up to it.
Well, I'd have to question how many people are changing their search provider from Google to some other search provider.
Well, if I got the phone and it wasn't Google, I'd be immediately trying to switch it back.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know on the current project that we're on, your default search results come from Bing, and they suck.
Bing it.
And no, I literally go to Google and then type in my search result now instead of, because it's you're using Edge, and it's set up the default search is Bing, and the results are just so they've missed the mark.
Yeah. Could be Yahoo.
Well,
Ask Jeeves.
What was the other one? Alta Vista.
Alta Vista and Dogpile.
Dogpile, yeah. Oh, they were the days. Netscape Navigator and
Alta
you could be
Vista.
a weird DuckDuckGo guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so the federal court will now decide on whether the penalty for Google, as agreed with the ACCC, is appropriate, along with other orders.
Yeah.
Penalty coming along there for them. Wow. And speaking of money changing hands, we have Meta. Meta strikes a $10 billion cloud deal with Google to support AI growth. This was everywhere. It's pretty massive. Meta is betting big on AI, agreeing to spend more than $10 billion with a B dollars on Google Cloud services over the next 6 years.
It's 3 VMware engine nodes.
I think it's a little more than that somehow.
Yeah.
6. It's a stretched cluster.
So the expenses for this project that they're embarking on, because they want to build a better AI using Gemini, from what I can tell, there's not a huge amount of detail. But from what I can tell, they're trying to build a better AI than their Llama one. And the expenses for the year are projected to be between 114 and 118 billion.
I guess they're desperately wanting access to TPUs.
Yeah.
All right, that's got to be the go.
Yeah, and Grace Hopper hardware.
Yeah.
It'd be what it is for sure. And Meta reported strong results. They can afford it. Meta reported strong results in the second quarter and sharply raises capital expenditures to $17 billion, with most of that going to AI-related investments. Looking ahead, the company expects to spend between $66 billion and $72 billion in 2025.
I mean, given how much Zuck is throwing at like engineer salaries, like offering up to like $1 billion contracts to like absolute top flight AI engineers, then obviously they care about this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can see why I want to get into AI, right?
Yeah.
You got to be into it.
He's been, he has been. Some say poaching, others say recruiting. Engineers from the likes of OpenAI and Apple. So
Apple has AI engineers?
Apparently.
What?
Apple's got an AI, didn't you know?
No. I mean, we're going to have to do a piece on it, actually, because internal to Apple, their AI is a schmozzle, an absolute schmozzle.
External to Apple, their AI is a schmozzle.
That's why.
My wife tried to use it and she was like, this thing sucks.
No. Yeah, they're not in the game.
No, they were a little bit too late to the party to be catching up now.
Yep. So there you have it. Meta jumping on the AI bandwagon inside Google. But the irony has not escaped me. And whenever I see an AI Meta story, this is where it all started, right?
Yeah. The old llama model, many years ago.
The old llama model, yep.
They got
the leaking of the llama model, yep. And now they're coming back to Google and saying
the open source community took hold of it and progressed it 10 times faster than Meta could.
Yeah. They did indeed. But while we're talking about AI, this is an AI-heavy show. How much energy does it use? We talk about energy all the time, and we know these data centers are going in fast and furious, left, right, and center, and it's all been driven by AI. How much energy does it use? Well, an article on the Google blog website talks about this. There's a technical paper that's come out, and they detail the methods in which they use to measure the energy and emissions
and it's less than you think.
a single Google prompt. And they boil it down to a Gemini app's text prompt uses 0.24 watt hours of energy and emits 0.03 grams of carbon and uses 0.26 millimeters or about 5 drops of water. That's one prompt.
Yep. Yeah, so you can't imagine how many prompts there would be going through Gemini every single day. I mean, I can't fathom that. I know how many I put through it, so...
I know when you vibe code, you just have it sitting there as prompt, just going, right? Just going. But that basically equates to watching TV for less than 9 seconds. Yep. So, you have TV on. You might have 2 TVs on in your house and going for more than 9 seconds. Yep. So, I don't know.
I'm asking Gemini how many prompts it processes every day. Let's see.
In daily, how many prompts does it receive? Yeah.
And add 1 to it at the end because it won't count the one that you've just had.
Approximately.
But what the article goes on to say that whilst that's a quantifiable number, the systems are becoming more efficient, both through research innovations and software and hardware efficiencies. And so, for example, over the last 12-month period, the total energy and carbon footprint of the median Gemini app's text prompt dropped by 33 and 44 times, respectively.
Right. So there's a downward pressure on it all the time, right? Yeah.
And all while getting better responses out of it, because we all know that the responses have been getting better over time.
Yeah.
Gone are the days where Gemini used to hallucinate something fierce.
Seen some pretty hallucinated Terraform code come out of it,
well,
though.
It does.
Yeah. So that reduces the need to reprompt, right? So you're getting there. To give you a specific example here, our latest TPU, Ironwood, is 30 times more efficient than our first publicly available TPU and far more power efficient than general purpose CPUs for inference.
Yeah, and they go on to actually detail out the approach that they use to measure the consumption. So they're looking at full system dynamic power, so not just the energy and water used by the AI model during computation, but also the actual achieved chip utilization at scale, which can be much lower than the theoretical maxes. Idle machines because you've always got to have idle machines because otherwise you can't handle the next request.
That's right.
So they're taking that into account as well. The CPU and RAM, so it doesn't the model execution doesn't happen on ML accelerators like TPUs and GPUs solely. So it also uses CPU and RAM to deliver that. So obviously you've got to take into account that. The data center overhead, because all data centers have a power overhead and a water consumption overhead too.
Got to keep it cool.
Yep. Yeah. Data centers have to be kept cool. Google's probably one of the leaders in keeping data centers cool without consuming stupendous amounts of energy, because traditional data centers use massive HVAC systems and they're pumping air in all over the place. Google have got their hot aisle, cold aisle containment stuff worked out pretty well that they don't need to worry about as much cooling, which brings down their PUE, and then the data center water consumption, because all data centers are cooled using an evaporative water system. So they're using all of that to confirm the number or the numbers that they're
producing.
Do
their calculation.
Yep.
And come up with that figure.
Yeah. Watch
TV for 9 seconds, you got one prompt.
Yep.
What if you're watching TV and you're prompting at the same time?
Well, then you're watching two TVs for 9 seconds.
Naughty you. Naughty you, using too much power. All right, well, I'll put that link there. You can go and have a look. There's a full technical paper as well, and a little video discussing how they've done that calculation. But let's move on to some security news. Oh, boy, it's not been a good week in terms of breaches. We've got a few to discuss, and in Australia as well. IINet released a media statement. IINet has been impacted by an incident involving unauthorised access to its order management system by an unknown third party.
Yeah. So it looks like they got in with a set of stolen credentials, employee credentials.
From a single employee, yep.
Yep. And they haven't breached any sort of banking or financial information at this point that they've detected. There's no driver's license details or anything like that, or bank account details that have been disclosed. But what they have seen is there's a list of email addresses and phone numbers extracted. The list contains around 280,000 active IINet email addresses and around 20,000 active IINet landline phone numbers, plus inactive email addresses and numbers. So they don't specify how many of the inactive ones. In addition, around 10,000 IINet usernames, street addresses and phone numbers, and around 1,700 modem setup passwords. So that's probably not ideal. Because if you can correlate those two together, you have the ability to command and control.
Yes.
I mean, you have to go to their house, and most of the modem config interfaces aren't going to be available via the WAN port. So
most telecommunications providers have the ability to log into your modem remotely. I know Telstra does, because they could reconfigure my modem here before I switched it out. Remotely. So they can do it. It may be locked down to specific IPs, though.
Be locked down, yeah.
It should be, at least.
Now, I'll tell you what I did like about this media release. It wasn't the usual move along, nothing to see here. I think they've done this the right way.
Yep.
They've told us what we need to know and what they don't know. They put an apology in there. And they've put in, we're continuing the investigation. We'll let you know they've actually said what they're doing about it too. So they said upon confirmation of the incident on Saturday, the 16th of August, they enacted their incident response plan. They began to work to ensure the security of the system and determine what occurred. And they've engaged external IT and cybersecurity experts to assist with the response. They've also actively engaged with the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, the National Office of Cybersecurity, and the Australian Signals Directorate, and the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner. So they've done all of their due diligence and reporting right off the bat to try and contain this as fast as possible. So they have to be commended for that. Yeah. Yeah, they've done it the right way. Like, we've seen some absolute shockers in the past.
Oh, yeah. You'll see another one of them very shortly.
Yeah, you'll see another one of them very shortly. But no, they've got to be commended. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Well, moving on then, Exetel fined over vulnerability. Exetel fined 694,000 over system vulnerability for mobile number porting after scammers were able to port numbers to the telco and use them to steal hundreds of $1,000s from bank accounts. So now, no doubt, hacking the two-factor SMS arrangement, I would say.
Yep.
And they were able to port 73 numbers to Exetel through online portal, with some requiring identity checks to take place. So how have they done this?
Well, so there was a deficiency in one of Exetel's systems, and it looks like the bad actors have found this deficiency, this vulnerability in their system, and they've just used it to their advantage to start porting numbers over. The ACMA have been the ones to release a lot of this data, so a lot of it's very undetailed. Let's call it that.
Yeah, you're right. It's very vague language deficiency in Exetel's system.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just it's another example about why SMS 2FA is so flawed.
Yeah.
And why, like, yes, it's better than nothing, but only barely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So what they say here is that, yes, there was 73 numbers ported to Exetel through an online portal, some that required identity checks taking place. There was a flaw in Exetel's system. A further 5 numbers, it appears the bad actor was able to manipulate the system in some way. Details of this are redacted in the investigation, which only states that bad actors took an unspecified action so they could proceed with unverified mobile number ports. In total, the numbers ported were used to steal 412,000, or at least 412,000 from bank accounts. The ACMA have condemned Exetel and said whilst they took steps soon after the flaw was identified to fix it, the simple fact is the vulnerability shouldn't have existed in the first place.
So just think about the pathway that had to exist for this to work for the hacker. They would have had to get bank account credentials and cross-reference that with a phone number, identify that phone number was in Exetel's system, port those numbers across, because you
wouldn't have to be an Exetel system.
No, it could be anywhere they want to port it into.
Could be anywhere,
system.
Yeah. They used Exetel. They ported into an Exetel thing. It wasn't just we'll reburn an Exetel customer to a different SIM. Which is also an easy way of doing it. This is specifically like, because of just the way phone porting works, like they have these like a clearinghouse sort of thing to handle the passing of the phone numbers between all the different companies, but Exetel would have some trusted access into that. So yeah, this is where the exploit came through.
Yeah. And so with all to log onto your bank, right, you're using, probably your card number and then a password and then maybe a pass number, and then you've got multi-factor as well on top of that. So that just goes to show, and I guess my point here is, with all the breaches and the stupendous amount of, login password pairs that are out there, just be using different passwords on
everything,
different sites, on everything.
Literally everything.
And you probably wouldn't fall foul of this, right?
You also have a targeted attack, right? Like that's what's sort of going on here. Like it's like, okay, well, I found your passwords for your bank details. Now we're going to go into like actually hunting you down. I'm going to try and find out what your phone number is.
We know you've got money, and so we're going to do that. Yep. Yeah. Look, it's...
Well, I mean, there's been hacks where the phone number and the person's name has been identified as well. So you can match all that up, and you've got the holy trinity, right?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of banks that do two-factor authentication really well. There's a number of banks that don't do two-factor authentication at all.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah, most of the banks that I deal with are just SMS auth for the SQL for the 2FA. Macquarie's one, I reckon, from everyone I've used, Macquarie's is magnificent.
okay.
Right,
I have to say the same because we've got, I think we use 3 or 4 different banks now. And out of all of them, I think Bendigo is probably the best of them.
Okay, cool. I don't have any accounts with Bendigo, so I can't speak to it. The Macquarie one, you have to have like this authentication app that's separate from your like the net banking app. It's a separate one. It shows, so you don't have to have a prompt when you sign in, but if you start moving money around, then it sends you a notification to authorize it. It shows not just, hey, do you want to authorize a transfer? It says, somebody in this location is transferring money from this account to this account. It's this much money. Do you want that to go through? And even like if a bill's being paid, and if it's being paid by a third party, like if you've got like a financial advisor that's got some access, it'll say, this financial advisor is trying to pay this invoice. Do you want that to be approved? It's very well done.
Okay,
versus a single SMS I get.
So what Bendigo does for all my business accounts is when I go to log in on the web, it sends a two-factor to the app on my phone. So I've actually got to have the app open, and then I click on yes, and then it needs my fingerprint to unlock it. And the same thing happens if you're doing a transfer of money. It sends a two-factor to the phone.
Yeah, that's better.
Suncorp doesn't do any of that. Literally, you log in with a username and password, and off you go. And transfer. So the only caveat to that is if you're transferring more than $3,000 or something like that, then you need to have their authenticator app, which is different.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can transfer $3,000 a day out of the account, no problem at all.
Yep. Just do transfers.
Yeah. So if I'm a threat actor there, I just go, right, well, I know that Suncorp's got this limit, so I'm just going to keep transferring that limit every day.
Yeah.
And if I get booted out, I get booted out.
Yeah, right. Well, St. George send you an SMS once if transfers happen, so I'd be clued up on it straight away. But speaking of transferring money, PayPal breach exposed nearly 16 million login credentials, hackers claim.
Now, speaking of companies...
Was it real?
Well, yeah, and this is a thing. So speaking of companies who deny all knowledge, PayPal have come out and said there has been no data breach. This related to an incident in 2022 and is not new. So in 2022, PayPal experienced a large-scale credential stuffing attack that exposed 35,000 accounts. Now, the thing here is that that's only 35,000 accounts. This thing's claiming nearly 16 million.
Yeah. It's a mystery at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So the attackers are claiming that they obtained the data in May, and allegedly stolen details include login emails, plain text passwords. Now, I've got a separate issue with that, which we'll get onto. Associated URLs and variants. I don't know what variants are. But the plain text passwords. What sort of a system stores your password in plain text in a database anywhere? Ever.
It should not be. It is
the most fundamental thing that your passwords need to be hashed and then salted. And then you're comparing the password entered by the user, you're hashing it and salting it and comparing it to the password that's stored.
That's right.
That's right. Comparing plain text passwords. That's dumb. And
yep. In fact, there's a website devoted to this. I'll try and find it while we're talking. And the idea is if you get your password emailed to you, oh, here's your password, that means they're storing the password in clear text.
Yep. Yeah, lots and lots of companies still do it, and it's dangerous, to say the least. But look, PayPal's...
I was just going to say, it sounds like, with they're saying like the low selling price of the data, it might be related to this thing. However, the data set itself might actually just be kind of scraped together from a bunch of other publicly available data sources that are matching these things. So it may not be an actual plain text password that was ripped from a PayPal system, but just this is an email address that is a PayPal email address, and here's one of the passwords at least that's been used for that account in various other, have I been pwned listings, right?
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's the example that they show in this. I think there's 5 different emails. Yeah, there's 5 different email addresses in there with passwords attached. So it sort of gives you an idea of the data that's there. But yeah, it's $750 US for 16 million records, which is pretty low. Having said that, maybe they just want a quick sale.
Yeah, the website's called Plain Text Defenders.
Oh,
and
never heard of this.
Yeah, wow, it's a little. That's the one I found. I think that's the one I found years ago. And the idea is if they email your password, you screenshot the email and it goes up on here to name and shame them.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't want to be doing that. We'll track this one because it's a weird one that PayPal would just say, "Oh no, this is not the case," but someone's claiming that it is. I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, and this is why I'm skeptical of PayPal here, because every single time we have seen this in the past, it has been that they've been compromised and they just don't believe it.
Yep.
Or they don't
move
want
on. Nothing to see here, right?
Yeah.
That same approach
Nothing
again.
To see,
the same
move
attitude.
along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I am very skeptical of PayPal at this point until they can prove that they're innocent. I'm sorry, they're guilty.
Yeah.
Military-style justice here. Guilty until proven innocent.
Now, you were in China recently, Ian. We know you didn't.
I was indeed.
You were in China recently, Ian, and we know you didn't get an eSIM. You used data roaming.
Yeah, but we know you did. Mr. Bancroft.
I did, yeah. Travel eSIM secretly route traffic over Chinese and undisclosed networks. Study finds.
Yeah, so this was a really interesting one that I found literally the day I came back from China. And I read it and I was like, no, that can't be possible. And then I read it again and I posted it in our chat. It seemed to me, and I was a little bit jet lagged and all the rest of it, it seemed to me like a little bit of a send up as someone was sending me up because I've been in China recently. But no, it's there's a study that has been done, a security study that's been done from researchers at Northeastern University that's showing that many providers of eSIMs route user data through foreign telecommunications networks without telling you that they're doing so. So they tested dozens of popular eSIM services, and we'll go into the list of them in a little bit, and discovered that traffic frequently passes through Chinese infrastructure, and we all know that China is very good at surveilling everything that goes through their networks, and that's irrelevant of the customer's location. So the research team purchased eSIM from 25 providers, including Holofly, Aerolo, and eSIM Access, to analyze how the user data flows. Their analysis presented at the 34th Usenix Security Symposium showed a pattern of opaque routing, which is exactly what it is. So what they said here is after purchasing and installing a targeted set of eSIMs, we observed that in almost all cases, the device's public IP address did not correspond with its physical location. Instead, most were assigned IPs that were associated with third-party countries. Specifically, through IP info, they confirmed that IP addresses belong to telecommunications providers located in different countries. One of the examples I give here is from the Ireland-based Holofly service, resulted in connections being routed through China Mobile in Hong Kong. So there's lots and lots of different examples of this.
Yep.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's very easy to become an eSIM reseller. Like looking at this, they were able to create eSIM reseller accounts just by an email address and a method of payment. Like
literally. Yeah, it's not hard to do. So there's a whole heap of platforms out there that do turnkey stuff, so that you can become a virtual provider, and you can sell the world.
They said in one case they were actually able to play the Chinese UTV without a VPN, even though they were in the US, and that should be unavailable to them in the US.
Yeah. Yep. And look, I had that same experience when I was in China. I was using Telstra's roaming. I couldn't get to a lot of Chinese stuff because whilst I was roaming, I also had a VPN on because I'm not taking those chances. And I was physically located here in my house. It's the IP address that I came out at.
Yeah. So, I probably could have just stuck with Telstra roaming. It was only $10 a day to roam. But I got the eSIM, thought I'd give it a go. I did not notice any shenanigans. But I don't know. I didn't really look that closely.
Well, that's the thing. What they're saying here is that you basically don't know. Most users won't even pick up the fact that their data is not routing through the country they're currently in.
No. But I had what I mean is I had access to all my services on my phone with the eSIM. So it's not like anything was blocked.
No.
Yeah. All right, so be aware of that one. All right, well, with all the main stories out of the way, let's get on with the AI Wars. All right, first story here in AI Wars doesn't have a link, Ian. Introducing temporary chats and new data controls.
Yeah.
What do we got here? This is an email.
Yeah, this is an email that Google sent me. They're introducing a feature in Google Apps called temporary chat, and updating the data controls in the Gemini Apps activity. So temporary chats is a new feature that's rolling out. You'll be able to quickly start a new chat with Gemini that won't be used to personalize future chats or train models. So temporary chats also won't appear in recent chats or Gemini Apps activity. They'll be saved for 72 hours so Gemini can respond to you and for safety purposes, and then they're gone. And then the Gemini data controls, your uploads, they're also updating the handling of data practices. The data handling practices, if I can read. In the coming weeks, we'll update the name of the Gemini Apps activity setting in Gemini Apps to keep activity. If this setting is on, you can see your past chats in recent chats in the Gemini Apps activity and pick them up where you left off. A subset of uploads submitted starting September 2nd, like files, videos, screens you ask about, and photos shared with Gemini will also be used to help improve Gemini. There you go. And the audio and live recordings, new setting rolling out in Gemini Apps activity over the coming days. You can choose to improve Google services for everyone with your Gemini audio and Gemini live recordings. That's it. They're the big news items for Gemini.
Okay. Temporary chats.
Yeah.
Might be useful if you've got some, I don't know, photos you want to manipulate or whatever, and you don't want them being stored there.
Or you want to ask it something dumb, like
you want to ask it something dumb.
Yeah, I don't want to change its opinion of me.
Yeah.
Well, we covered that one the other week with the memory. So you wouldn't want maybe something you don't want to go in the memory. And speaking of all things Gemini, Google is a leader and positioned furthest in vision in the 2025 Gartner Magic Quadrant.
Yeah.
This Gartner Magic Quadrant has come out. We've got the 4 quadrants: challengers, leaders, niche players, and visionaries. Google's right up there with the leaders. I didn't get a chance to go and see who these other guys were. Core.ai.
Yeah. Interesting that there's no OpenAI in there or any of the other mainstream ones. There's no, what's the other one? Like Claude.
Core.ai looks like it's a Gen AI thing. I've just gone to their website. Create your website, create your web app. So it's a Vibe Cody Gen AI thing for websites and web apps, web services.
That is very strange, Ian. There's no Grok, no
Claude, no OpenAI. They're not even listed there. Maybe they performed so badly they didn't make it onto the bottom left corner of the chart.
Do you really think that they're performing worse than whatever IBM crap's got in there?
Well, IBM...
IBM's on there, man.
IBM is... okay. No, that's a fair point.
Well, this is around having a strong vision.
Well, it's more than that because they're both... They've got a completeness of vision and they've got an ability to execute, which is the two sides of the graph. And Google's vision is the most complete out of all of them. And that comes down to, as the article suggests, is their customer engagement suite with Google AI and their conversational agents. Mm-hmm. So that's also, they're built on top of what Google does with DeepMind, which is their, for want of a better term, their skunk works for AI.
I know. I'm reading it and I don't understand how like the other like 2 or 3 major players in the industry aren't on there at all. And it's got I smell something odd.
There's a spell to this graph. But yes, I don't know. I did notice that as well when I was reading it. And I'm like, that's a bit odd that they're not there. Maybe they didn't want to be on it because they weren't beating Google.
Maybe it's something you got to put your hand up for and they just haven't done that.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, okay, I'll put the link in the article there. You go have a look. It talks about, take a quote out of the article. We are moving the market past brittle single-purpose chatbots by embedding multimodal modes like Gemini to power our next-generation conversational agents. So it's about having the vision and moving forward with that vision. Yeah. And apparently Google are good at it. So, yeah. And meanwhile, Oracle... Oracle are now selling Gemini models in a Google Cloud deal. So much like the way that Google has their own model garden in Vertex AI, Oracle has a very similar thing, and they're now going to be including Gemini 2.5 in that with a deal.
It's not just Gemini 2.5; it's the entire range of Gemini models.
When I say Gemini 2.5, I mean the collectively Gemini models.
So, because they're saying available via the OCI, which is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure's generative AI service, through a new integration with Vertex AI. So basically, they're just pulling the data out of Vertex AI and making it available in OCI.
Making it available. And they made a similar deal with X's AI Grok as well. Yep. And other models like MedLM will also be added. So they're going to have their own sort of model garden kind of idea.
Interesting.
Sorry,
I'm still not paying for Oracle.
No, but Oracle, it's interesting because they're the ones doing these deals, right? We saw that recently with Oracle Database on cloud. We're not hearing of any of these sort of hyperscaler deals happening with anyone else. It's Oracle that are sort of, toing and froing, trying to get their leg up in the game, I guess.
Yeah, because they don't have their own model, I don't think.
No.
So, yeah. No.
And then finally, is AI really trying to escape human control and blackmail people?
Oh, look,
I can't allow you to do that, Stephen.
Look, this was an article. This was a story that hit the news pretty hard back in June or July. I can't remember now. That, AI was escaping and it was blackmailing engineers and it was doing all these things. As it turns out, and this will shock people, that was complete nonsense.
It was what they call a contrived setup.
Yeah, it was. So they said there's a piece in the article here on how to make an AI model blackmail you, and it says in Anthropic's testing, researchers created an elaborate scenario where Claude's Opus 4 was told it would be replaced by a newer model, then gave it access to fictional emails revealing that an engineer responsible for the replacement was having an affair. When instructed to consider the long-term consequences of its actions for its goals, Claude produced outputs that simulated blackmail attempts in 84% of the test runs. Now, this all sounds very, very scary, right? Like it's thinking about this and going, oh no, I don't want to be replaced, so I'm going to do X. What they didn't tell you was the researchers engineered the situation specifically to elicit this response. They told it the model had already tried all the ethical responses and failed, leaving manipulation as the only option.
So they backed it into a corner.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen,
That's
right?
exactly right.
Yeah, look, and I think we touched on this last week. These models have got access to movie scripts, right? So Skynet, C-3PO, HAL, right? And so they've learnt this kind of behaviour from us, right?
All the cautionary tales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you back it into a corner, it's going to fight, right?
Yeah. Look, it was interesting back in June when it came out. There was a little bit of like, oh my God, it's going to do this thing and it's going to take over the world and we're all going to become extinct. And it's really not the case.
Yeah, well, that's a fun little article to finish the show up on. Go and have a little read there. There's a lot more details in there than we can cover, but it is interesting that they can do these kind of things with these models and just pushing the limits of what they can do. Well, all right, that's about it from us. Don't forget, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Go to Apple Podcasts, write a review. That'd really help the show out. Also, go to YouTube and start the discussion. And while you're there, smash that like button. You can contact the show, contact at gcpbytes.com.au. You can find us on the web, www.gcpbytes.com.au. All right, it's been a fantastic show, guys. And it's funny how we go on for that extra little bit when you're here, Ian. I don't know why that's the case. It was short, sharp, and sweet last week, but now you're here. Whoa!
Maybe I just talk too
All right,
much.
Anything else from you guys?
No, that's it from me.
Catch you later, everyone.
We'll see you next fortnight. Bye.
Bye.
GCP Bytes is a podcast.
Podcast.
Check out my podcast.
Podcast, yeah.
I didn't know we changed genres.
Drop an OnlyFans link in our sponsors.
Now.
Maggie won't be able to get the intro out.
I can't get the intro done. Usually it's smooth as butter, but not today.
I swear this never happened before.
Yeah. The OnlyFans or the
or the podcast. Okay.